Hello and welcome to the DC United Kingdom podcast. This is season 4 and it is episode 13. And I'm your host, James Graham. As you can see, there's no one here beside me. It's just me on my own, on my toes. So let's crack on with the show. It's great to be back. It's weird to be back in the UK doing the podcast after doing it live in the USA. That was amazing. Shame Daniel and Tom can't be here this evening to come and do this. Daniel is preparing to get married this weekend. So congratulations, Daniel. Looking forward to seeing all the pictures and I hope you have an awesome wedding. And Tom, well, he's just stuck with work. So he can't make it. So yes, as I said, it is just me on my arm this evening. You've got my lovely dulcet tones. Or if you're listening to this after the fact, it might not be the evening, it might be the morning. So there you go. Anyway, as I said, this is season 4 and it's episode 13. There's quite a few things for us to go through. So if you're here in the chat, we'll do that guess that player again. We've got a few news and talking points to go through because there's been a few things since just this last week, and never mind since I've been off the air. There's no real matches to review, but we have got a game this weekend, so we'll go through that as well. And there is just the single question for this evening from the fans. So if you guys out there, you're listening now, drop me a question. Pop it in the chat. Let's see who comes up with what. So let's crack on with Guess That Player. So first up, let's bring this player up on screen. There he is. So if you listen out there, take a wild guess. If you pop it in the chat, pop it on YouTube, pop it on Twitter, wherever you listen. So this guy, born in October 1984, born in Baltimore, stands at 6'1". He started off his career at DC United. However, he did leave to join the Galaxy and those rivals of ours, the New Jersey Metro Stars, before returning to the club. He made 180 career appearances and scored 28 goals. He was noted as a winger, so no real surprise that he wasn't an out-and-out goal scorer, and did make 15 US men's national team appearances, scoring just the once. Post-playing career, he has managed a team, but I'm not going to give that one away because it might give the player away. So that is your player. If you've got any guesses, pop them in the chat. If not, let me know on Twitter or on DMs. Let me know who you think before you get to the end of the show. So let me just bring him off screen. So that is your guess at DC who. We'll probably end up flying this. So this might be a quick episode because I am, as I said, on my own. As you'll see, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see a new ticker thing just going along the bottom. That's something that my software providers just introduced. That's quite nice. Nice to see. I don't have to click too many buttons. So what else have we got? So we've got the news, and I've got a new little VT. That's very newsworthy, isn't it? That is a heck of a news intro, news music. Evening, Stu. Nice to see you alive and well. How are you doing? So, news. Let's bring my notes back up on screen because that might help me. So, non-DC related, Ronnie Daylor, however you pronounce it, the former New York City FC head coach. I say former because he's now joined Standard Liège. So he's moved back into European football after coming from Norway, Celtic, in Scotland. I can't remember who managed. I think it was Strom's Godsed in Norway he managed. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But it's good to see that he is moving on. He is obviously MLS cup champion. So it was always going to be bound to move on to bigger and better things. And now he's back in Europe and he's in Belgium. So, he's back where he's in the same league as what Hernan Losada was in. But a decent team, Standard Liège. Um, Not quite as good as Anderlecht if one of the DCUK members would have you believe, but Stanley Asia, I mean, that's another thing. Anderlecht manager, Vincent Company, has now joined the Premier League's, I didn't know they're in Championship now, Burnley. So that was an interesting one. Other MLS related news, Giorgio Chiellini has joined LAFC. It'll be interesting to see and hear what you guys out there think about that, because that's, to me, that doesn't really get rid of the retirement league tag that MLS has had for quite some time. Um, he's a great defender, don't get me wrong, but he's an old defender, and I don't know whether this is a wise move from LAFC. It's very, very. It's a move that is all about the name. It's just bringing the rep in. Yes, he's got bags of experience, bags of winning mentality, and that's going to be great from promoting the youth and giving them the experience of what it takes to win. But I don't. Do I see him starting every game? I don't see him, because obviously the travel, things like that. Obviously, we see what happens when Zlatan came, when Wayne came. When you see the older players come over, the traveling does take a toll on them because they're not used to it. Italy is a much smaller country than USA, let's put it that way. I wonder how many Italys you could fit in the USA. There's a question for you. How many Italys could you fit in the USA? Chiellini. Stu's just come in with a good comment that Chiellini can still play and will be a great mentor in the dressing room, but it has to be money driven for both club and player. Absolutely. I don't see him being a shirt seller, though, Chiellini. I mean, I don't know many people out there who would want a defender on the back of their jersey. That's a strange one. But yeah, I mean, you're right. In terms of the club side of things, did they get much money for winning MLS Cup? I don't think the prize money is such a big one, but we'll see what happens there. But for player wise, yeah, he's gonna be on a good amount of money to do that. Pete, Kinney and I enjoy MLS, and I think a lot of people enjoy watching them. I think it will, especially from an LAFC point of view, it certainly will improve their defense. That's going to be a big thing, and generally speaking, MLS defenses aren't exactly the best in the world. So from that perspective, that should be good. And if we can get more, I don't want to have a load of Chiellini style players. I'd want to have people in their prime, not slightly past their prime. Yeah, I hope people do enjoy watching him. I hope he doesn't play well against us when we play them in August, though. Let's just hope he has an off day, or he's suspended. One of the two. Stu, thank you for telling me how many Italys you can fit in USA. 32 and a half. Well, there you go. That's quite a few. I wonder, how many UKs could you fit in USA? Can't imagine it'd be much different. I think it'd be quite similar. Stu, work that one out, please. Other news that's happened, especially in transfer style, John Kempen, the one and only, has joined San Diego Loyal on loan until the end of the month. So not a huge amount of time on this one. They've got a fair few games in a few weeks that is left in the month. So hopefully he'll get a few games there, get some match fitness, whether he needs it or whether it's a move, as I've seen a few people say, especially Angus, as a trial for a permanent move. I don't think he'll see a DCU jersey for the rest of the season, especially now we've got Romo as a backup to Bill Hamid. But it'll be good for him as a person to get back to San Diego and get playing regular soccer again. I think he's very well thought of over at San Diego as well. And there was something that I did see about John Kempen, and I did mention it on the DC UK chat, which if you do want to come and join us, head over to dcunitedkingdom.com/membership. You'll just see it rolling through on the ticket just now. He's not played more than 12 times for a particular club. Sorry, more than 13 times. Sorry, he's only played 12 times for DC United. So he doesn't tend to play a lot before he moves on. But if he goes back to San Diego loyal on a permanent basis and plays a few times on this loan period, then he'll have played more because he's already played 11 times when he was on loan back in 2020. So you go, so that's John Kempen. One of the sharpest looking guys on the team. Always has a good dress sense about him. Stu, 40 UKs that you can fit into the USA. There you go. Additional fact, 11 states could fit a UK inside them. Wow. 11 states could fit a UK inside them. That's mad. That is truly mad. I can imagine Texas being one of those. Very interesting. Other bits, again, not really DC United related, but slightly DC United because it affects the league as a whole for the next 10 years, which is the MLS broadcast deal. Again, something I've been intrigued about, which means that it's coming up from next year on Apple TV. So there's going to be an MLS subscription, and from what I believe and what I've read so far, if you've got Apple TV Plus, it comes as part of it. That's going to be interesting because I know Apple TV Plus over here in the UK is not that expensive. So that'd be interesting to see if they include it in that. But more importantly, well, there's a few things about this. So firstly is the fact that there's no blackouts. So it's worldwide. So there's no need for VPNing, which is great because I can save some money on that side of things. But also the local broadcast. So Dave Johnson, I hope we still get to hear his voice. You've got the option of having local radio as the audio, so hopefully we'll still be able to hear him now because it'd be a huge disappointment if we don't get Dave and Devon. I will be fuming if we don't get them. Because Dave, especially Dave, he's been here since day dot. Devon obviously been here not quite that long, but because obviously he played for us. I really wish and hope that we still get to hear those voices and hear their analysis because I absolutely enjoy listening to them. I enjoy watching them, and the fact that I got to meet them both when I came over, that was just unbelievable. Devon, who came on the show, was fantastic. I mean, they've both been on previously, but on the live stream at the Screaming Eagles tailgate, that was pretty special. So there's that. I'll be interested to know from everyone out there whether you're for or against this particular broadcast deal, because it brings a lot of money to the league. That's $2.5 billion, which is an insane amount. That's not quite. It's not quite British standards with Sky Sports and BT Sport and all the other broadcasters over here, but it's a good start for this league, and I think it's hopefully going to be a sign of things to come. It's proper it's internal broadcasting, it's internal production. That's the word I'm looking for. And I'm really intrigued to see how they do it. I've not seen any of the sports on there. Apparently, there's the Major League Baseball, which has been hit and miss, but then the audience really isn't that caring of baseball from, again, things I've read. And it'll be good to have something dedicated to MLS and have all the games, being able to watch everything we need, have some still simulcast with live TV over in the States at the very least anyway. I'm intrigued to see how this pans out. I'm for it. I actually think if you're bringing more money into the league, which means the club's going to have more spending power, it's going to be a pretty sweet deal, to say the least. So again, if you've got any thoughts on that, feel free to either drop them in the chat or feel free to hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram and let me know what you think. Transfer rumours. So there's been a few. There's been the Shreddy Eddie on or off deal. It's very difficult to think and know what's happening there because he's apparently off to Atlas in Mexico. I've not seen any sort of rumours on fees or anything like that, but it's less than obviously what we paid for. So I'll be intrigued to see how that one pans out, whether we free up another DP slot. Incoming, another outgoing, it's Griffin Yao has been linked to recently promoted sides in Belgium, KVC Westerlo. So another outgoing that's going to Belgium, apparently, just like Chris Durkin did. Um, whether Griffin does the same and comes back in a few years' time as a better player, as a more accomplished and experienced player, that'd be interesting to see. I'll be keeping a keen eye on how he does over there if he does move over there. Incoming wise, there's been a couple of rumours. Sonny Kittel, who's been linked, and that's come from multiple sources as well. Rumored to be a $1 million deal, $1 million deal from Hamburg. He's a attacking mid winger, can provide a fair few assists. Again, this is one that I've read, especially on DCU Discord, and a bit on the DC UK chat. People are kind of intrigued to see how this one goes. They think this could be a good signing for the club. It'll certainly be an interesting one. I know Sporting Kansas had been linked with him, but they look like they're going to sign someone else now. So he's got offers on the table at the very least. There's definitely interest in him. The other one, which is Thomas Henry from not to get confused with Thierry Henry, from Venezia in Italy in Serie A, $12 million signing. Hopefully, the offer's been accepted from the latest rumor, but he does want to stay in Europe, so it would need to be a big offer to get Thomas to move over to MLS. But again, there's been multiple clubs interested in him, especially with teams like Watford and Burnley who've been interested in him. So there's certainly some stiff competition for his signing. One key thing that I've noticed about him, when I've looked at his stats and things, he's scored more than 10 goals per season for each of the last 3 seasons. So he knows where the back of the net is. And last season, if I remember rightly, he scored 15 in Serie A. So I think it's a pretty good attempt at a signing. He's 27 years old, again, if I remember rightly. So I'm intrigued to see how this one pans out. Certainly intrigued. If we sign him, I know we need some attack firepower to go alongside Taxi. Yes, we've got Ola Kamara, who was basically joint top scorer last year. Nigel Bertha, who hasn't quite lit the world on fire just yet. So intrigued why we're going down this road. Taxi's obviously had a great start to his DCU career. I know a lot of people are after defenders and defensive style players because that's where we've been lacking in quality quite a bit recently, especially on the set piece. We've been conceding a lot there. There's a few. That's one particular style I want to go through when we start talking about the game this weekend. That's a bit of an eye opener. And one thing I want to talk about as well is on that, Bill Hamid. Is he getting to the point in his career where we need to think about maybe replacing him? Which is which I hate saying because he's an absolute club legend. But do we need to start thinking about long-term replacements? It's one of those where he's made a few mistakes. He's not been as consistent as he once was. And yeah, we're conceding a lot more goals than we used to, whether that's just down to style of play, which I think that is a contributing factor. The fact that we moved to a back three. So there's always going to be space down the wings. So you're going to get a lot more balls into the box. That's one thing. Otherwise, it'll be interesting to see whether long-term again, whether we do move to a back four and but keep the same sort of style of play. It's certainly an interesting one. I'm intrigued to see one. Well, are we going to get a new head coach in before the end of the year, or is Chad definitely going to be the interim for the season, which I'm not so keen on. I would rather see someone in there permanently sooner rather than later. But two, these rumours of signings, who's in charge of that one? I know obviously you've got Sean, you've got Dave, you've got Lucy, you've got Stuart Mears, who all contribute to the conversations around who's going to be coming in, who's going to be going, what kind of player comes in. But for me as a manager, I'd want to have a say on who comes in, and for me, I'd want the final say on that because the manager is the one who picks the players. You'd want to be having the right sort of players in at your disposal. But yeah, it's stuff that's out of my control, isn't it? Excuse me, needs a drink. But that's kind of it for the news, really. Stu, what you saying, lad? Excited to see how the Apple TV MLS deal pans out. Good step in the right direction, I believe. Less like a cottage industry and easier to reach a wider audience. Absolutely, definitely. So, yeah, again, it's good to see that you think that's a good deal, and hopefully you'll be able to watch a lot more games as well. I don't know whether you've got MLS, if you got Apple TV, but it's going to be a lot easier to access. And I think the audience that is going to get targeted at is going to be more willing to watch soccer because obviously it's faster paced. It's quite entertaining. The level of content that tends to come out from the clubs, but hopefully from this deal and from the production, we'll see a lot more um, highlights, analysis reels, things like that that go along that we get over here in the UK. They're like match of the day, for example. Things like that would be amazing to see on this app, on this deal, on this Apple TV. So we'll see what happens. So that's it for news. I'm gonna roll the VTE, yeah, because why not? Yeah, I like that. It's definitely very newsworthy, that VT. So game this weekend, Chicago Fire. We are away at Soldier Field. We're on the road. It's on June 18th, Saturday. What day is it today? Thursday, Friday. Yeah, June 18th or June 19th over here in the UK. 8 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff, 1 a.m. for us over here. So it'll be a nice late one this weekend. First time for a while, it feels like. It's going to be good. It's been a while. I'm glad MLS is back. It's been great to see the guys back on the pitch. Hopefully, getting 3 points this weekend. Because Chicago are one place below us in the table, so we need to see some movement on there. We've not been in good form at all recently. We're currently sat on 14 points with a goal difference of -6. Chicago, who are below us, are on a goal got 11 points with a goal difference of -7. But the big factor is the amount of wins. And they've played one more game than us. So we won't. If we do get beat, we're not going to be bottom, but we need to move on up. Looking up from the table, we've got a few teams above us who've played one more game than us, but a few are on the same, like Columbus and Atlanta. They've both played 13 games each. Toronto, Inter Miami, and FC Cincinnati have all played one more than us, but they are 4 and 5 points ahead of us, respectively. But then you've got the likes of Charlotte, New England, who are on 19 and 20 points. Have played 2 more games than us. So if we win those games in hand, then we can go up at least a couple of places and move up the table quite easily. So because it's so early in the season, these things are a lot more malleable in the table, and things are more free flowing. But it's still a worry that we're second bottom in the East, and we are third bottom in the Supporters Shield. It's not a pretty place to be. Just double check on the Supporters Shield there. Yes, third bottom in 26th. Kansas City are just below us on 13 points. So there's a long way to go. That's the optimistic side of me. But the other side of me is that we're second bottom, which is not great at all. Would we have been any difference if we had no manager change? Obviously, that's a story for another day. But yeah, so coming up this weekend, Chicago Fire. Shibilko and Shaqiri are their joint top scorers on 3 goals apiece. Shaqiri is leading the way for them on 6 assists. So he's that key man that we need to make sure that we nullify. Earlier on in the season, they beat us 2-0 at Audi Field. So there's some revenge aspect there. So hopefully we'll be able to avenge our defeat. That ended a 3-match winless run against us. They'd previously drawn 1 and lost 2. The victory was also Chicago's 4th against DC in the last 20. Dating back to 2014, where in that run they've drawn 8 and lost 8. So, realistically speaking, the omens are with us in this fixture. We tend to do rather well, but we need to make sure we actually come out fighting for this game. We've had that break. We've had a good amount of time off. We need to have made sure we've ironed out those kinks in our defense. Made sure we've worked on those set pieces, defensive set pieces anyway, and make sure we are sharp in the attack, because there's no point in being toothless. Another stat is the last 11 of the last 15 goals in MLS for DC have come from 2 players. Taxi has scored 5. Ola Kamara scored 6, which is just incredible. Taxi has got a goal every 0.96 games. Has scored 0.96 goals per 90 minutes, sorry. And Kamara scored a goal, 0.89 goals in every 90 minutes so far this season. And that is first in MLS. It's top of the table. That can't be right. That can't be. I'm just going to double check on that one. Player stats. Attacking goals per minute. I'm just checking on this one. Ola Kamara, 0.89. I've not seen anybody else who's ahead of him there. Taxi, 0.96. Yeah, Taxi's almost a goal a game. That's incredible. So we need to make sure he's on fire. Against the fire. We need to fight fire with fire. So there's that. What else have we got against the fire? So they are winless in 10 matches. And they're 1 game away from equaling the club's longest regular season winless run of 11 straight set. That was set back in April to June of 2011, and then matched again between October 2020 and May 2021. I think that also included our 7-1. I know that was Toronto. My bad. So that is also a good way to hopefully restart our season against a team who are incredibly out of form. For us, though, on the road, we've collected just 1 point in the last 4 games, conceding at least twice in each of those games. So far this season, we've allowed multiple goals in 13 of our last 17 away games dating back to June. So that just shows how bad our defense is at the moment. It's incredible. I didn't think it would be that bad, especially when you got the likes of Bill Hamid in goal. You've got Steve Birnbaum at the back. You've got Brendan Hines-Ike there. Last year previously, before Hernan came in, we used to have a solid defense, and then things just went topsy-turvy. So I want to see us get back to those ways. I'm not saying bring back Benny Ball by any stretch of the imagination, not wanting that. But we need to get back to the days of where we are tough to play against, because we shut out opponents and make sure that they aren't winning and they aren't scoring against us. So if you don't concede, you don't lose. But on the flip side, if you don't score, you don't win. So there's sides to every way of playing. In terms of, again, their key sort of players for Chicago, you've got Gaston Jimenez, who's a midfielder. He's one of their DPs, as mentioned before. Zerdan Shaqiri, who used to play for Liverpool and Stoke City. It's always a weird one, that one. And Jairo Torres, who is also a midfielder, but he's a young DP as well. They have one in the under-22 initiative. That's Federico Navarro, who is also a midfielder. So if you're a Chicago Fire fan or a Chicago Fire front office player, board member, sorry, you tend to go for midfielders as your key players. Not attackers, not forwards, not strikers, not keepers, but midfielders. So might be why they're not winning so many, because there's no balance. Other things, there's been a big rumor for Chicago recently in regards to their keeper Slanina, who's in talks with Chelsea, and it looks like that he's about to have his medical. So whether that affects him this weekend, that'll be interesting to see, because that will be, we could take a good advantage of it, especially if he's off the ball, or even if he's not playing. Actually, that would be quite a key thing for us. We could use that to our advantage. So we've got to keep an eye on that one, especially when the news hits, usually an hour lineup anyway, an hour before kickoff. So let's keep an eye on that one, shall we? Score predictions wise, open up to the table out there for you guys who are watching. Thank you to those who are watching live right now. But if you're watching after the fact or listening after the fact, feel free to drop in what your score prediction is. And I will know if it's after the game, because obviously I'll be able to see when the comment comes in. So get your predictions in now. I think I mentioned on DC Discord I went for a 3-1 win, but thinking about it, I'm not so sure. We concede a lot recently. Yes, we've had this break to restart our engines and get things going. So it'll be interesting to see what we can do. I can go positive like Stu's just done in the chat. He's gone 2-0 to DC. I like that. Clean sheet. And a couple of goals. So I'm going to go 3-1. Same goal difference, +2. But because of the way our defense is at the moment, I don't think we're going to just suddenly completely turn the table. It will be a bit of a progression. Let's put it that way. We'll progress into a better defense. So 3-1 for me. Stu's gone 2-0. Any other predictions, feel free to let me know. Normally, we'd come to a point where we'd have, a guest on, or we'd have MLS 101 with Daniel, but that isn't happening this week. Daniel let me know, obviously, previously that he's going to be wedding, but Tom was obviously a late minutes change, so we haven't got anything lined up for those segments, but which leaves us on to some fan questions. Like I said, we've had one come in, and that was from Brian Lake, who is a DC UK member. So again, as you see in the ticket, just going along below there, join us at DC UK, dcunitedkingdom.com/membership. And if you want to get one of these jerseys, just head over to bit.ly or bit.ly /DC UK Cherry. DC UK and the C in Cherry are in caps. The link should be in the description, so feel free to click through to that. Feel free to do it now if you want. Keep the show on in the background. Get yourself a nice little jersey. So, a question from Brian. For club and country, what was the worst defeat you've experienced as a supporter? And I know why he's come up and said this question, obviously, because of what's happening with England at the moment and now a 4-0 defeat by Hungary. But that's not for me personally, not the worst one I've experienced. For me, the one that was worst one for me as an experience and emotions was that Euro 96 defeat to Germany when we lost on the shootout in the semis. Gareth Southgate missed. I was 8 years old. He missed that penalty, and I was just a bit. I was an absolute bit. You don't want to see this guy cry again, so we don't want to have any further repeats of those. But that hurt a lot. That has hurt quite a lot for a long, long time. And you know what? I genuinely thought we could have done it last year against Italy, but more pain, especially for Southgate, bless him. So there was that one. Um, the, of, the other ones of note, obviously, the Hungary defeat this week was just abysmal. That was just diabolical. I've never seen us play quite that badly. That was just, it was just embarrassing. It wasn't one of the worst experiences because it was just so bad. It was comically bad. Um, but then the other one was against Iceland, where we got beat 1-0 by Iceland. That was a tough one, very tough one to take. Again, we were nowhere near our best, but it was just crap, to say the least. Pete, he was in the Wigan end at Wembley when Man City lost in the FA Cup final. I'm guessing from that, then you're a Man City fan. So that's pretty brutal. That's just reminded me as well. So I'm a Middlesbrough fan, as you may know, and I've been to Wembley 3 times to see Middlesbrough play in the cup finals, twice in the 96-97 season, and the following season in the I think it was the Coca-Cola Cup, and was it the Carling? No, it wasn't the Carling Cup back then. It might have been the Worthington's Cup or something, and we didn't win. Any of those 3 times, really, really gutting. Because the first time was against Leicester City in the Cup final, and I remember it went to extra time, and I remember I think it was Ravanelli who scored, and I genuinely thought it was golden goal. So I was just like, oh my god, we were in Europe, we've won a cup, this is amazing. Nah, Heskey had to ruin it. I think it was Heskey who scored. But what I do remember from that is, yes, I was way back in the stands, right at the back. But I remember seeing the ball go out of play and then brought back and kicked back into the box. And I swear that was out to this day. I swear that was out, and they scored from it. And I've never been happy about that one. That one hurt quite a lot. The Chelsea, where we got beat 4-0 when Roberto Di Matteo scored after 40 seconds. I was quite close to the front for that game. That was pretty brutal, that one. Didn't enjoy that. So, yeah, I've not had very good experience in cup finals. Let's put it that way. But the worst one as a Middlesbrough supporter, apart from those cup finals, would probably be the relegation when we got relegated against Leeds United. That was a tough one. That was the season when we were docked 3 points because we couldn't field the team against Blackburn because we had I think it was the flu virus or sickness bug went through the complete team. We just literally didn't have enough players to field 11. So we ended up getting docked 3 points, which was a bit weird. Rather than Blackburn automatically getting the 3 points, we ended up losing 3, and because of that, we were then relegated from the Premier League. So that was brutal. That was full on heartache. And that meant we lost the likes of Ravanelli, we lost the likes of Janino, we lost a load of our top players because they didn't want to play in what was at that time Division 1. So that was a pretty rough ride, that one. Again, I was incredibly young at that point, so it's probably why it hurt quite a bit more. So that, I hope, answers your question, Brian. But other than that, there's been no other questions. I'm just going to check over on the oldie Instagram just in case there's any late ones came in there. But from the looks of it, there was not. So that is the end of the questions. So that brings us back nicely to Guess DC Who. So I'm just going to bring up the things about this player. So get your answers in now for this particular player. There's the graphic up on screen. He's just not there. He's there. So this guy was born in October 1984. So he's currently 37 years old. So it's feels like it wasn't typically be long since he retired. He's born in Baltimore. He's a winger, stands at 6'1". Started his career off at DC United before moving to LA Galaxy, New York, then followed by Red Bulls, then followed back to DC United. He made a total career appearances of 180, scoring 28 times. He's played for the US men's national team 15 times, scoring 1 goal. But he's also played for the under-20s and the under-17s. He made... Well, here we go. This player was the youngest ever player in the history of MLS when he made his debut. But then that was taken by another DC United player in Freddie Adu. So that just shows you how long ago he was playing. I think he was quite young. He registered 5 goals and 1 assist in just 16 games during his first season. But he did have quite a few injury problems. So I'm not seeing any guesses out there. So I'm going to reveal the player. And this player is Santino Caranta. I remember when I was playing Football Manager, I absolutely adored him. I thought he was a fantastic player. One of those early players that I remember from when I first started following DC United. I think I loved his name, Caranta. I loved that name. I think it was brilliant. I loved the way he played. I thought he was fantastic. Just a shame that he had to retire early due to injury. Yeah, it was just a huge thing. He did have... So he retired back in 2011. His option wasn't picked up. It's a very brief retirement. He quickly joined the new Premier League soccer in India. He claimed this is due to his salary being more than double his last MLS salary. But a month later, the league was cancelled, so he didn't actually even get to play. He has coached and managed Baltimore Bohemians in the US Premier Development League, but the club's been on hiatus since 2017. So there's that. And his solitary international goal came against Honduras in the 2009 CONCACAF Gold Cup, where he scored it at the RFK. So a proper good way to get your first international goal. He has had some problems off the pitch as well. So he's had some addiction to painkillers and cocaine, but he's now clean from those. And he's also got a tattoo on his arm with the date he became sober as a constant reminder of his past struggles, which is pretty cool. So that's that. So that wraps this episode up. Yes, again, it was just me on my own this time, but somehow I managed to get 45 minutes in. Thank you very much for joining me today and joining me listening to this episode. If you're listening, as always, Phil would love a subscribe and a like. So subscribe to the show. It'd be fantastic. It helps promote the show in any way possible. And if you're watching on YouTube, please give this a like right now. Do it now. Just hit that little thumbs up button, because that helps us whenever someone does a search. It helps bring this episode up and hopefully bring this club to a brand new audience. That's always been the aim for this podcast, is to bring the club to a wider audience, not just in the USA but everywhere around the world. And it has been one of the things that we've had some joy in, because we've had people see us in Brazil. We've got people down in Australia watching. I know we've got people in Belgium. We've got people who've been... we've had attention from Turkey. We've had attention from all over the planet. So anything that we can do to convert those views into proper fans, I want to help in any way, shape possible. So, yeah, as I say, give us a subscribe, give us a like, and if you're listen to this on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review as well, because again, that will always help bring the show to a brand new audience. But that is it. Hopefully, if you watching from the beginning, you saw the brand new intro with a few new clips, especially from the live stream that we had a few weeks. It feels a little while ago now, but it was a few weeks ago. I think it was a few weeks, 2.5 weeks ago. So yeah, that is it. So hopefully we'll win this weekend. 3-1 win from me. Hopefully you'll enjoy the game this weekend like I will. But until next time, Vamos United.